The girl with the long dreads who slept with whomever she chose, that being her own declaration of control over her body, was there. I grew up in a house drawn between love and fear. There was no room for softness, but the girl with the long dreads revealed something else. The love to be soft and understanding. That soft or hard love was an act of heroism, and I could no longer predict where I would find my heroes. Well, question, why do you think Coates describes love as an act of heroism? Dean?
Well, love is an act of heroism because it requires a courage. It requires the courage to really to make yourself available to other people and to put yourself out there to really try. You know, you may never know if that person that you're with is the person. You may save someone. I mean, being in the right relationship can be like a really good thing for both people. You may save somebody from a bad situation. I mean, love is dangerous. You know, it's one of those things that gets used against people, and it's hard to do. It's hard to try. You know, love is a tricky situation between people. You know, people don't want to. People try. Love is, I mean, it is an act of heroism because it really requires a lot of a person to do, to prove on a regular basis. There's a lot of aspects to it. I mean, I don't know all of them specifically, but there are. You know,
Okay.
it requires a lot of a person or people.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Hmm?
I also think there are a lot of different kinds of love, and they all require a measure of heroism, because as I think Dean was saying, love renders you vulnerable, and when you're vulnerable, you can be hurt, and so to leave your heart open to love, again, as Dean was saying, requires courage, and that's heroic, because I think it's so much easier to close down our hearts, to become self-protective, particularly when we have been hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'll often hear, really very stereotypical or prejudicial kinds of comments from the opposite gender. So you'll hear women saying, all men are dogs, or, men saying all women are bitches, and and if you really trace the history of the person that's making that kind of comment, there's probably some man that really hurt them or some woman that really hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
And again, rather than looking at men and women as individuals,
Mm-hmm.
once you start to see them as a group,
Mm-hmm.
and decide that you hate that group, then you're not a hero.
Mm-hmm.
You're a coward. Because you have closed your heart to the possibility of love.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree. It's an act of heroism.
Mm-hmm.
Venita?
I thought it was interesting, and I could no longer predict where I would find my heroes.
Mm-hmm.
The young lady with the dreadlocks was bisexual.
Mm-hmm.
And from my reading, she was having relations sexual relations with the professor and with his wife, and he was having this, and the wife was having affairs. And I think it was the first time he ever encountered, I know it was the first time that he really came face to face with bisexuality. And I think it opened up, and maybe this is how I see, that it also opened up his mind to different types of sexuality. And when it said, here it says, and I could no longer predict where I would find my heroes, referring to love and softness and understanding. It just, to me, I think he might be saying that it opened up his mind to different types of sexuality. Not just love as a whole.
Yeah.
No, love thy neighbor, a stranger you may find in a stranger, you may find it at the grocery store. No, I think it just opened his, because he didn't know that that's what black folk do. If you read that, this was new to him.
Right.
Because where he came from in the streets, remember, there's a lot of homophobics in black communities. You're called faggots, this, that. So
divisiveness.
Yeah, it just kind of open up his mind in a total different way.
Right.
That's also something I got out of this passage.
But this girl, I don't know that sex in itself is a definition for love, or having the control to because then that just makes you. Well, some people view that as some type of power, but other people, but really it's just like a failure to commit to a situation. And I don't really know that can be defined as a love. Well, it can be an expression of love if you have an understanding.
Right.
But other than that, it's just prostitution or being easy.
Well,
the expression of sex or of giving yourself to someone else has to be understood between people to be love, an expression of love. Otherwise, it's not an expression. It has to be understood between people that this is what it's supposed to be.
Well, I don't know if I got that out of that passage, but it makes me want to ask, Dean's last comment makes me want to ask question 9. Do you see sleeping with whomever you choose as a declaration of control? Why or why not?
Dean?
It's not really an expression of control because people don't have to be with you even if you sleep with them. People decide if they want to be in a situation beyond whatever they share. It's not really beyond whatever it can be. It can be a measure of control. Don't get me wrong.
All right.
It can be, but people still have the ability to not let it be if they so choose.
Well, I think that the reason he wrote it that way, and the girl with the long dreads who slept with whomever she chose,
Right.
being her own declaration of control over her body.
Her body.
So, her body.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that sense, I do think it can be a declaration of control. Whether other people see you that way or see it that way is another matter. But it can be a declaration of control in your own mind and how you perceive yourself, which is, much more important than how other people perceive you. And so, throughout this chapter, he's building on the metaphor of the black body and talking about the multiple ways in which the black body is stolen, robbed, abused, misused, etc., at the whim of other people's interest. And so, whenever you do something and say, this is what I want to do with my body, this is what I want to do with my spirit, this is what I want to do with my heart, this is what I want to do with my life, you are declaring your right to authenticity, your right to humanity, your right to control the fate and destiny of your body. So
Yeah, but it's also important not to pigeonhole yourself.
well, the pigeonholing is really other people's perceptions, is it not?
Yes.
Okay, well, yes, it is, but don't lock yourself away.
Yeah, but
You
but
still have
we
to live in
we don't
society.
but we don't we but what
You still have to live
control
in
do we really have? Again, thinking about the stereotypes that people have of us. And we agree we don't have any control over how other people choose to stereotype us.
Right.
You do in a sense that you don't have to perpetuate a stereotype.
Well, no,
But
you
that's
don't have to perpetuate it, but
but you,
at the
you, you
but
can't
at the
control what they
same
see that
time,
as. Right.
if you're doing something and you're clear in your heart and mind why you're doing it, then then I think to a large degree you have to let go how other people perceive it. Because it's like you can't have two masters. You can't be, a master of yourself, and a slave to other people's perceptions.
That's true. That's
I
true.
find that I have found throughout my life, people always project an image onto me that, from my perspective, doesn't have anything to do with who I truly am, but
That's
has everything to do with what they choose to see and perceive.
Sounds like you need a
No,
marketing
it's
director.
sort of like I don't need to give a damn about it.
yeah.
Right.
Because, because to
You need a good
me,
PR person.
if you really want to know me,
Right.
I'm one of the most direct, honest people you will ever meet in
I'll
life.
second that.
All you need to do is ask me a question. And
And
so if you'd rather draw conclusions, have a judgment, have a false perception, and not have the conversation or not take the trouble of getting to know me, then that's on you, and I don't have any control over that.
and I feel the same way Michelle does. That's why we're friends. Keep it moving. Keep it, keep it moving.
That's right. That's right. And that is why we're friends, Venita, because I want to be friends with people that want to know me and who allow me to know them in their trueness.
And
I don't need. I'm not interested in a fake ass friend.
there you go. And you could take
I've
it.
had them. I've had them.
Let's not go there. That's another session or two or
That's
three.
another session.
I need that session too. But in other words, Dean, Michelle and I have remained friends for so many years is because we are honest with each other. We do hear each other. We don't just talk at each other. We actually do hear each other. And there's certain degrees of love. I'm not saying I'm liking her all the time, and she don't like me all the time. I always tell Michelle, as long as you still love me, I don't care if you don't like me today. Hang the phone up. Keep it moving. And she will tell me the same.
Dean doesn't like me all the time either. I don't like him all the time.
But it's very important. You can't live your life solely on at all, really. As long as you are true to your heart, as Michelle said, you give 150%. That's all you can do. You have no control of the other folks and how they think, what they think of you. A lot of people think a lot of things to me, Dean. Do you think I lose any sleep over the night? I mean, really.
No.
And even sometimes just doing good things, people can say bad things. They can turn a good thing into a bad thing. Somebody can look at a person that's very generous and still find fault. Well, they're too generous. Well, they're too giving.
Right.
So it's not even bad things that people find fault in. People will find fault in anything, Dean.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to, you know, find bad stuff, or I should say fabricate, because most of it is fabrication, because you never asked me, as Michelle said, so you have to be fabricating in your mind,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what you think you believe. So, got to keep it moving, Dean.
Yeah.